In response to Dr. Paul Krugman's article in the New York Times on Friday, November 20th, 2015, The Farce Awakens. Now, Dr. Krugman just blew me away with this article in terms of how much our sisters and brothers on the Republican side are relying on fear to get the attention that they need, to get what they need to get going. And the question is, where is that fear really taking them? Now, he starts off by talking about somebody, some big conservative, who, because of what has happened in Paris and because of the fact that Parisians are now going to the cafes to show that they will not be intimidated by this, this stalwart Republican, actually, he's really a right-wing guy, is saying, I'm not even going to go to the new Star Wars films because they don't have metal detectors in the theaters. So he's evoking fear, he's evoking panic. You know, he wants that state of panic. And that seems to be the world that a lot of our sisters and brothers on the Republican side seem to live in. So after the Paris thing, all of a sudden, we were only going to have 10,000 Syrians come in. I think at the most they talked about was possibly 65,000. It takes years for them to get here. But how many 30 Republican governors basically says, we don't want them. We don't want them in here at all. You know, a really, how would you say, a nice Christian thing to do, just to show how much you really care about people suffering over the world and the fact that the United States, in spite of what the Republicans have done, is still a rich nation and we're still a welcoming nation. You know, Obama mocked them for that. He mocked the presidential candidates for that. And, you know, they just talk about how terrible Obama is on all of this. Now, Jeb Bush even went as far as to say that only Christians should be let in. And, of course, Donald Trump, my man, you know, has basically indicated that we should not only bomb the shit out of everyone in Syria to get rid of ISIL, but we should track all Muslims here in the United States. Yeah, that's really good. And, you know, but the thing is, we've seen this time and time and time again in reference to our conservative friends who need to have fear, who need to have us in a panic stage so that they can basically destroy the means of government. Dr. Krugman brings back the Ebola virus scare from 2014. And remember, it had pretty much been settled almost by the time the election came around. But it started, I believe, around September 9th, September 10th, and then that guy died around September 19th or 20th, something like that. And there was such a big scare, but it was all based on trashing Obama, trashing Democrats because you're trashing Obama, and getting, you know, your win in the Republican, that the Republicans won big in 2014. But everything that they were talking about wasn't true. None of it happened. You know, Trump talked about keeping flights out from all these places over in Western Africa. And of course, Billy was saying the same thing on his show day in and day out, night in and night out, and was criticizing the head of the CDC, telling him he should resign, telling him he should be fired, because he doesn't know what he's talking about. And if one more person is going to die in the United States, of course, no one else died. But of course, he was bringing up that fear day in and day out. And you know, politically, that's all that they got. And of course, this is what's been going on since the beginning of the Obama administration. Everything has been fear-based. Hyperinflation, you know, that we are in a fiscal crisis. When interest rates were going to go up, what else was going to go on? The Affordable Care Act people were going to die from the Affordable Care Act. It was going to die under its own weight, that no one would sign up for it, that there'd be death panels. All of this stuff, made up, contrived things specifically to go after Obama in a different way and to instill fear in the electorate that this is a panic, this is caused by Obama, you know, who hates this country, is a Muslim, etc., etc. And, you know, the thing is that right now, all of this fear, what is it doing for the Republicans in terms of the upcoming election? is putting Trump up there and is putting Carson up there, even though Carson seems to have been going down quite a bit in the last week or two, because he's shown just an incredible inability to have any type of comprehension about what's going on outside of the United States, and even a lot of the stuff that's going on inside the United States. The quaintness of his speaking just isn't, he doesn't understand this stuff. You know, as a doctor, you got to memorize this stuff. You got to have it down pat. You have to have every sequence of events when you're operating on someone down. You know, you can't miss anything. You can't skip anything. He doesn't have that well-rounded grasp. But Trump has been gaining ground since the Paris tragedy. Why is it? Because he's been as bellicose. He's instilling fear. And this is what the Republicans have been doing for the last 6 years to Obama. And possibly it's coming to bite him in the ass, because the Republican establishment, they don't know how much they can trust Trump. They don't know what they can do to get rid of him right now, because he's shown an incredible amount of staying power. Now he's opened his mouth a couple times and he hasn't said so many great things. But, you know, as far as the press, etc., everyone thinks that anytime he opens his mouth and says something stupid, that he's going down for it, and he's not. He keeps getting more strength from it. And, you know, this idea of panic, this idea of fear, this idea of we can't go to a fucking movie because they don't have metal detectors, is basically what the Republican establishment has wanted to do to go after Obama. And now the candidates that are leading right now aren't even remotely close to the ones that they want, because they want their establishment candidates basically to be Republican corporatists, not Republican Tea Parties. And it's coming to bite them in the butthole right now. And will this go through to the election? We will see.